Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Arson TCG Discussions coming in today with a video where we are playing against Bello. And this is my real life deck. This is me on the left here. That's actually me playing. And I'm going to showcase this match. It was played at the dugout for the Pirate League. I got top 7, so I made it. Yay. We threw a game for this, unfortunately, and ended up losing in our final round to BP to some unfortunate bricking. But player sitting across from me is a really strong player from the indie era. He's topped multiple times. And he's just all around a really strong, really good player. So I wanted to showcase the principles that we kind of talked about, and we're going to pause throughout to kind of talk about how you should be playing against Bello and like what you can do and all that other stuff. So I think this is going to be a really great way to show you some of the principles that I apply from the guide, and we'll talk about those areas when it comes. Now, Bello can still somewhat be a tough matchup. It is favored for us, though. They should lose most of the time to us. I'd probably say it's probably about 60-40 favor toward us if we draw well. I did win die roll, and I'm actually deciding that I want to go second here. There are 2 reasons for this. I think second curve, if you play Laboon, is completely fine. We're not, but we're also playing Finger Pistol, so we're on that variant. We have a lot of events that can KO on the forward on, so I'm testing out a Finger Pistol variant here, and I just wanted to make sure that it was good for that curve. Second's probably best, because if they get Bello Searcher, which he didn't, he got raised max into whatever, we can just limit the number of Bello that come down, or the number of 1-cost he plays. We start off with stage here, filter to a stronger, completely fine. Not a whole lot to do here. Play Caribou blocker, and we pass. Now, this Caribou is a little bit vulnerable to Kuma, possibly. And he does have on play, so he can, at this juncture, play a Betty and search the Kuma. So that's like one weakness of what I'm doing here. And I did realize that in the middle of this game. But if that blocker is not addressed and lives, it's very strong. What he does to address it, though, is even better for me. In fact, it's probably one of the most preferred methods to get rid of this that I didn't realize he was playing. I haven't seen a lot of Betty's tech this card, and my personal playtest group does not prefer the card. He's about to Zeus that Caribou blocker, which is insane value. Number 1, he's taking life. That's not potential trigger for me to go through, which is really good. And number 2, he will get to remove the blocker. Now, that definitely is worth it. If I had to trade a trigger life potentially for that blocker, I will. He loses a life and no trigger activates. I'm going to take that every time. So this was actually a pretty good move for me, for him to do, and we get a lot of value out of it. He lost a life. Now he's going to swing 6 here with Betty. Now remember the principles, right? We're right here, we're going to pause it real quick. We want to counter out of low swings, right? Unless we can't, or there's a reason not to, okay? So that's stronger, not worth keeping. It's not worth checking. I don't care that could be Finger Pistol. I don't care that could be Tempest Kick at the top of my deck. We're not taking that damage, okay? Because that's going to come later. The more life I have, the more triggers I save for later to pop more valuable cards are very good. So there we go. Counter out of the low swings. So because it's only going to get worse, right? It's only going to get worse. Counter out when you can. Otherwise, it's going to get worse. So here, I have 6-cost Lib in my hand. We're going to swing 5 here. And I actually want him to take that and get a trigger to walk into the Lib. Because I want to make sure that no matter what happens, there's no way for us to not Lib next turn. Yes, he has 2 bodies, but with this Lafitte, we're going to give him a target to swing into. This is completely perfect. If we hit a dot Q, which I think we do here, we do pass up on 2 teaches and a 6-cost Lib for this dot Q. So this is another part that is really important. Now, what have I just done? I've protected my life against Betty on this 2K here, not taking this damage going to 4, even though we'd have another card in hand to pitch for stage and all that other stuff. None of that matters. We did use Lafitte here to search, and we played dot Q when we're KOing this Betty. Now, I know somebody actually asked me, do I tap my dot Q early? Now, next turn, if I search off stage, I could potentially hit Kuzan into Augur. If I get an Augur or Kuzan out of life and I get that, it would be massive plus to be able to remove the board. But bear in mind of 2 things. He actually must attack over both both of these cards. He cannot let the Docu live, and he certainly cannot let the Lafitte live, and nor should he. So this means my board will be effectively clear. Now the Docu is going to draw me a card, and the Lafitte is going to absorb probably the attack from the Nami, or probably the vice versa, so that he has a higher attack. But what does it truly walk into? And that's a 6-cost Leb that we already have in hand. So at this junction in the game, Docu does not need to live. Docu can absolutely perish here. We're just going to get that draw, and then we're going to do what we need to do to get Lib set up online. So that's my thought process going into next turn. That's why I'm turning the Docu sideways. If I need to Lib this board, I will. And the other thing is that, like, it's really important to kind of get the grasp of this. Is the board worth libbing? And we're going to get to that at the end of this turn here for Betty. Now, he's going to search top 5 off the top of his deck. We did give him on plays. Protecting the Docu here doesn't really matter from Kuma. And the reason why, like pitching, so why did you not pitch here? The principle is to protect the Docu so that you go into the auger and then pop it, right? Well, the Docu's sideways. So I'm just negging in hand for no reason, because he could just attack over it with the Zeus on the board, and I'm not going to be able to protect the card anyway. So him searching Kuma to pop it here doesn't even matter. We don't even care about it. This is kind of the nuance of the deck itself, you know, playing against Betty, that you kind of have to bear in mind. I said there's a lot of fluidity to this matchup. There's a lot of flexibility. Now he's going to swing 5 here. I end up taking this life. I'm not sure if I can counter. I don't think I can. I think I was pretty bricked there. I think I actually just got the Burgess off the top. And look at this board. Now it's pretty wide. He's got a Koala. He's got a Kuma on the board. And is this board worth living? I'm going to pause right here. I want you to post down in the comment section below whether you think this board is worth living. Should I play Liberation here? And I'm going to wait a second. The answer is actually no. This board is not worth living whatsoever. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and play of a more control game for this turn. Remember what I said about Betty. We're not trying to race her. We're trying to establish cards that get rid of cards and control the board through attacking it first, get control of the game, and then we're going to win. Okay, so this board is not worth living. Now we could devastatingly kill 3 cards this turn. There's no way he's going to protect the swing over the Zeus. That would just be completely crazy. And Zeus, honestly, as a card, does not give him the ability to get buffed off of the leader effect. But we're just going to apply the same principles that we always have, right? And here I'm doing some calculations and some math on what would be good. I'm debating on whether or not the Liberation is good. And bear in mind that the other Liberation that's in my deck is also at the bottom of the deck. So I know that when I use it, it needs to be valuable. Now I pitch a Tempest Kick here, and I get myself a Van Augur. I decide that this turn is going to be best spent establishing cards. I think I have a Docu in my hand. I think it's like the 4th card in there. And right there, I slide it to the front. And so what we're going to do is, again, we're going to play board control, right? We don't need to have this massive board and establish things up. We can just pop this board periodically as it comes and then play this Burgess here. And this Burgess is very, very nicely positioned. So notice where we're at, okay? Let's just take stock of the situation here for where we're going. This Burgess is going to be 7k. I've got a Docu sideways. That card must be gotten rid of, right? One of these attacks or an effect will guarantee... No, actually, there won't be an effect here because I pitched for leader ability. I apologize. One of these attacks must go to the Docu. And at that juncture, we're totally fine. One of those attacks is going to get absorbed. We're going to get to draw another card. On a card that's sideways is simultaneously going to be attacked by Burgess and my leader. Now, something else to note, and I wanted to also talk about this real quick. I kind of forgot, but I want to step back here. So at this junction right here, notice that I gave him on plays. He could have played Ivankov and a crosser, or Ivankov 5 costs on the top of the deck and a crosser. That board would be worth living, right? But it's not here at this juncture. So we decided to execute the turn that we did. And now we're going to negate for a different reason. So why are we pitching here but not last turn? Well, Koala as a blocker blocker to play a card is far more dangerous because she's a blocker. Number one, we do not want Koala to prevent our leader from effectively not being able to swing 5 at something sideways. So we're gonna negate and deter him from playing the Koala. Even if he does, it'll absorb the majority of the turn, which is what we want. And so we're going to proceed forward as follows with this turn and execute accordingly. The Burgess is gonna become 7k. We're gonna pitch here for Litter Ability. And the Van Augur can go because if we get Kuzan, we're gonna draw another card to play into the Augur. It's better than trying to keep the counter in hand. We still have the Lib, and we have the Kuzan into the Augur. We're sitting fine. We can just grab anything that we need back at that point. Now, he's going to go into a 7 Dawn turn, and I'm going to be honest with you, he's had a relatively slow game. He has no Karasu, he's had no Ivankov, he's had no 5-cost Ivankov to play into Karasu. He didn't get a trigger off the life that I swung at him, so it's just all around a pretty weird situation for him. So he's going to swing here into that Kuma, which is what we want, okay? And this is not something that I really saw coming. So he's going to play double Inazuma here, activate Bello Betty effect leader ability to buff all 3 cards that are still standing, and then attach that last Dawn to the Koala card. So the Koala is a 3k, leader effect makes her 6. There's the 6 cost that we're playing around, right? And now it's 7775. Okay, so watch how we take these swings. So 5, counter out of what I can. 7, we take. Okay, we get a counter card. 7, we have a 2k and another card. We're going to block it. And then 7, we take. Now, this is how you should be countering against Betty. There's no reason to let that 5k swing go through. If I did, I would have been forced to take the next one, then take the one after that, and then block one, the last one, or the one prior, and then take that damage. There would be one less life here, okay? You cannot just say, oh, it's a 2k, and it's a 5k swing, I don't want to get rid of it. No, just get rid of it, okay? So again, applying those principles. Get out of the cheap swings when they can, because again, it's going to be more expensive later on. Now this board is worth living. 100% this board's worth living. Why is it worth living versus the other one? Well, number one, those cards on the board are 4Ks. They're not 2s, they're not 3s, they're 4Ks. 7 is just as annoying as 8. 8 is just harder to get out of. But 7 for this deck, at the amount of counter I have in him, it's not worth even remotely letting them live. So by living, we will get to clear the entire board of attacks, and that is a boon for us. That's what we're saving this for. This is a perfect spot to do it. And so we're going to filter out the Kuzan. It's a brick in hand. We're looking for counter. We did not get it. Because we didn't get it, we're going to turn either that event and keep the counter in hand, and we're going to use that for our leader effect. And now here we're going to swing 7 into that. Even though the Burgess is bigger, it should have gone 7 into 2 and then 8 into 3 to guarantee it. That 7 swing, if he counters out of it, would have costed 3 cards in his hand. So if he protects that, he's just lost the game. There's no way he's going to kill me with 2 cards. I have 2 life, and it's going to be dependent on him to have like Goldie Roger or some effect that gets through. And so here we go again. We're going to swing. Again, we are applying the principles, and we pitch the black hole for leader ability. We're turning off Dragon. We're turning off Koala. We're turning off Ivankov, 5 cost. We're turning off Karasu. We are making this miserable. Now, he can all in that Burgess, but if I play 10 cost Teach next turn with whatever he has on the board, it's very bad. He's going to swing 6 at life. We don't have the counter for it. We're going to take it. He plays the Kuma 2K and the Lindbergh. Now, here's something to note here. He just chose to go into a wide stance here, which is what he should do. Attacking big over Burgess and not establishing anything is just basically giving me another turn, which is another turn for me to reestablish the board, another turn to redraw the cards. If I get an in-between turn as Blackbeard, I'm always going to take that. So he's doing the right thing here by pressuring life, going wide, ignoring the Burgess. And this next turn is going to be very, very good for us if we get a 10 cost Teach. Something else to note here, like I said, there were a myriad of cards that were needing to turn off. If he played Dragon, there was going to be very bad. If he played Koala, it was really bad. If he played 5 costs into Karasu, because the 5 costs into Karasu could actually weaken the Burgess. And if he plays 5 costs into Karasu there, I think he was at 9 Dawn. So there's 4 Dawn left in a cross, so that is now going to be a 9k over 7, and he gets 2 bodies, right? That would just be completely devastating. It'd be the same board, but Burgess is dead. So again, we have to negate here, just making sure that you guys understand that principle, okay? We only let him have technically 1 turn, and he was completely and utterly behind what I said in the guide. Normally, you would do it 1 turn earlier, but he was rather slow. Now we're going to search off the top of our deck here, and we get ourselves a nice queue. And we're going to count our Burgess here to make sure. Now, this is the other thing that I preached about in the guide. And this is about lethality assessment. Now, there is a 10 cost teach in my hand, and undoubtedly it's the best play. You know, you see me swing 5 here. Here is the problem for the Betty player at this juncture. If I play 10 cost teach here, one of his cards can attack, the other card would be able to attack, and then there's a leader swing. So I have a block, a life, and he has to hit me, which means the card that he needs to play from his hand is a rush. This 5k swing is also a problem. Why is it a problem? It's a problem because if he takes this damage, then he is set up for lethal if I play teach this turn. If he doesn't take this damage and counters, that Burgess is going to force him to take the life anyway. So he just wasted a card in his hand for no reason, which is another resource, which is also potential counter for math. Additionally, it's going to make it harder for him if I go for lethal on the next turn, and that's not a trigger. He must actually take this life here, right? It would be bad for him not to. And so, again, he correctly assesses that to counter here is incorrect, because it would simply make 7, 9 with that Burgess already being 8, and then 11 to kill him, and he's not going to win, right? He's just going to lose. And the worst thing that can happen for him here is 10 cost teach. And so again, we're going to count, make sure that our trash is correct. Our Burgess is technically a 9k. And we're going to play 10 cost teach, stun, stun. And I believe we're going to pitch the dot Q here for leader ability, just to maintain it, right? I didn't take the marker off, but there's that. Now there's only 2 cards in hand. So what am I thinking here playing against Bell Betty? Now there are 2 cards in my hand. At 10 Dawn, if he plays Dragon here, it could be 5, 7, 9. If 2 of those cards are Inazuma, we've lost. Unless that life is a trigger. Now with Dragon, oh actually it'd be 7, 8, 12 would actually be lethal. So 7 because there'd be 2 Dawn back for the Betty, and I forgot about leader ability, so it'd be 7, 8, 12. 7 for the Bello with the 2 remaining Dawn, 8 with the Kuma, 12 with the Dragon. So that would be very, very bad for us. We could actually lose. So we're not out of the weeds yet. This isn't just a completely winning position. That's if he has Dragon. If he has 2 Inazumas again, it's completely lost. We can't win the game. This is one of those games where it was narrow and they just would win. If he has neither of those combinations and he's slow, as in there are no rushers, there's nothing to really think about here, he auto loses. So let's watch how this turn plays out. I was considering the outs of the board. This is still best line. There wasn't a way to play a blocker and get rid of both of those cards, or get rid of both of those cards and force him to have a one-on-one with my Burgess. Oh, additionally, why did I not attack with Burgess, right? You don't attack with Burgess for the last life in case it's a trigger. Then we could also auto lose, right? So he swings 7 here. And this is actually a mistake. So why is it a mistake to swing 7 here? If he has Dragon now, and that last life is a 2k, I can win the game, because I have 2 1ks in my hand, and there is a 2k in my life. If he has double Inazuma, we still lose. And if he plays a blocker, it could be a problem if we don't get the ability to negate it. So what does he do? He swings 7, we take the damage. He cannot Gold D Roger us, and if he does play 5 cost Luffy, he would have exact game, but he'd have to have that, and it'd be some obscure text. So it'd be a very, very obscure win here for him to have. And this 7 assuredly will not go through. Now, if Inazuma comes down here, 7, buff it up to 10, it could be a problem, but he just has 6 for Koala. And so now we are completely in the driver's seat here. There is exact math. There are only 3 cards in his hand. And right here, we're digging with our stage. 1, 2, 3. Yep, he has 3 cards. And the card I'm going to actually take here is to attempt to dig for a black hole. The only thing that can save him in this situation is a Karasu blocker trigger out of life. Otherwise, we win the game. It's pure math. You're about to see it shortly. So why take that this is my era? Because we can actually spend that to search and get a counter of power this turn on the Burgess. So this is another way to dig for a black hole. We're going to look to the top 3. We did not get it, we just got a stronger. And because of the count of my trash, playing that era actually gave the Burgess an extra K power, which is what we want. So now we're gonna recount our trash. We're 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, and then we've got 21. We're gonna add the stronger to hand. And now we can get to 24. We're gonna increase Burgess one more time by pitching 3 cards. You're going to see me recount just to make sure. I want to make sure I'm pitching the right amount of cards. And it's always good to do this. So he has 3 cards in his hand. Again, 4, 8, 12, 16, 21. So I'm going to use my leader ability 3 times here. Just pitching those cards. And that's going to now bump Burgess up to what is 6, so 11k. So how do we approach math here? 11, 13, 15. Those are numbers he cannot possibly get out of. If he blocks any 11 swing, that means he cannot defend it, because it would be stupid for him to do that. But that's the math we're looking for. We have 9 Dawn, 6 goes to our leader, 11. He takes the life. Now 13 is the threshold. That Burgess is an 11k, so 2 Dawn can go to make it 13, and then 1 Dawn for the 10 cost teach, and that is exact math. So we're just gonna math it out here. We're gonna start off with an 11 swing at life. And the only thing that I'm hesitant on is like, man, Karasu would stink if it's a blocker. He's forced to take here. There is no Dawn open either. If they had 3 Dawn back, this turn could become very nasty for him. If, in fact, he had Karasu into some kind of hormone, energy hormone thing. But unfortunately for him, he did not have the counter in hand, and the 13-13 was in fact exact enough for game. That is the calculated end game that I'm talking about. I set him up for a lethal assessment the turn prior. I knocked him to 1. I didn't knock him to 0 when I could have. Instead of giving him the ability to 15 all in the Burgess or get another trigger out of life, I just left it standing, had teach, had the life, and say balls in your court. There's no way with this teach standing, this Burgess standing, that you just auto win without some kind of rush line or a blocker trigger out of life, and I can't deal with the blocker. And that is how you try to assess Bello Betty for a game. There are people who may make that mistake. I'm going to attack with the Burgess. There's no reason to. Count the number of cards in his hand. He has 2, he'll go to 3. And then after going to 3, that means 11, 11, 13 if he plays a blocker down. So actually technically he would have went to 4, but he played the blocker, right? So he's now down to 3. So it's 11, 13, 13. And we had exact math for that with how strong the Burgess was. And we were in no danger outside of some kind of rush line for him to lose the game, and it's very sparingly if he even plays the dragon or that 5 cost Luffy. If I lose on a tech like that, you know, more power to them for making me walk into it, but we're going to play against the general field. We're not going to play around hyper tech options like 5 cost Luffy. This is an excellent game to show you the principles of what I was talking about. When you apply these to your games, you are going to see a lot more success than you will failure. And I think that overall, this is a really game to showcase that teach with the principles applied can just maximize an easy win. Now, that was, in terms of game state, that was relatively close. We're both at 0 life. It could come down to a trigger, possibly out of him for winning, so it's a little bit on the grindier side. There are games against Betty you will have flat out victories and it's not close. It's forfeitable. They can't even keep cards on the board, let alone contest the board that's developed with blockers and teachers coming down, right? It's just not possible. There are games that occur like that for teach that are just completely winning. This is the second tier where it's like you're winning winning, but it's narrow. And then there's games where Betty just win. You didn't see what you needed, and she saw everything and is running you over, and that's unfortunate, but most of the time, you're favored, right? I think it's probably about 55 to 60% in your favor the moment you sit down. We took second here so we could get to teach a little bit faster. Notice how I didn't play for the teach either, but it was a great spot to play teach itself. That doesn't mean keep 10 cost teach in your hand. It does mean though, right, assess that, right? See that the teach, he had no board. Teach coming down, stunning the Limburg, having that blocker with 1 life. That is a boon. And that right there also offensively on the following turn, thinking about the future, set us up extremely nicely for game. How we played Burgess there with the era effect, right, into the leader effect, again, increase the lethality assessment success of that turn. These are the things when you play Blackbeard against this deck. You must learn to master and get down. Without it, you will lose games against good players like the person sitting across from me in the margins. What are some things that could have gone better for Betty? A couple things is the early game could have been a little bit stronger with Karasu. However, subbing Karasu out for a double rush Inazuma set on that 7-7-7-5 swing was absolutely fast, right? Like, as much as you can say Bello kind of bricked in this game without seeing the Ivankov into the Karasu at 5 Dawn, you can also see how that following subsequent Inazuma turn was foul. It was foul. And then you're like, okay, well, what would have happened if he had played the Karasu and the Ivankov there? They would have been dead. I just would have lived them and then attacked over the other card, right? They just would have died. Like, just bear in mind that the result probably would have been the same if he had the Inazuma and the Ivankov Karasu there. At this juncture, it actually does not matter that he did not have the 5 cost into a Karasu or a 4 cost into Karasu with my leader, because the board had to die. He's not going to let me search here, and he's certainly not going to let the docu live. But apply these principles, guys, and you guys are going to see a lot more success. And I wish you happy hunting for Bella Betty in your games. You know, this being just a easy win for her, it's not. If you play it right, it's very, very good. And it can be very good for us, and we can squeak out wins or we can get dominant wins. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. So Marcus of TCG Discussions signing off. Laters.
起きろ。起きろ。起きろ。